Hey everybody, this is John. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about a couple of different things as it relates to the 5-day moving average. I'm going to walk through the calculations of the moving average so you understand what's going on behind the scenes when you actually look at a 5-day moving average. And I'd also like to answer a common question that comes up as it relates to displaying the 5-day moving average. So let's get started with some basic concepts. So one of the key ideas of the 5-day moving average is we want to have a consistent slope of the line regardless of the time frame that we're looking at. And it's important to note that the 5-day moving average is not the same as a 5-period moving average, typically what we call a simple moving average. For example, the 5-period moving average is nothing more than the average of the price over the past 5 bars. So in this chart, this is a 30-minute chart. If we pull up a simple moving average indicator and we put in 5 for the length, that's a 5-period moving average. You can see it very closely follows the price because it's essentially the average of the past 5 bars. So with that in mind, how do we actually calculate the 5-day moving average? So let's walk through an example of calculating the 5-day moving average for a 65-minute time frame. So the first question we need to answer is how many 65-minute bars are there in a trading day? The trading day in the US is 6.5 hours or 390 minutes. So we divide 390 by 65 and we get 6. So we know that there's 6 65-minute periods in one trading day. So for the 5-day average, we multiply 5 times 6 and we get 30. And at this point, we know that a 5-day moving average is equivalent to a 30-period moving average for a 65-minute chart. So let's verify we're doing our math correctly by doing two different things. I'm going to change to a 65-minute chart. And this is the 5-day moving average shown on a 65-minute chart. And we're going to go ahead and go into our simple moving average tool and change our period here to 30. And if we did everything correctly, this should line up with our 5-day moving average, and it does. You can see that the simple moving average tool now overlays our 5-day moving average. If you'd like a reference that gives you an idea of the time frames and the relevant moving average, I can point out a free indicator that I wrote, and you can find it in TradingView by looking for LevelUp 5-day moving average. Once you have that tool installed, if you go into the settings, there's this option here to display a stats table. And on that table, you'll see the chart time frame over here on the left and the relevant moving average on the right. For example, we just walked through an example showing a 65-minute time frame, and the moving average is essentially equivalent to a 30-period moving average. I mentioned earlier there's a common question that comes up as it relates to the 5-day moving average when moving between chart timeframes. And that question is, why can't I see the 5-day moving average on my current chart? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up and change to a 1-hour chart. And we're going to point out the calculations that we looked at over here earlier. And if you recall, we take the number of minutes in the current time frame and divide that into 390. So in this case, we have a 1-hour chart, so 60 minutes, and we divide that into 390. When you do that math, there's not an equal division. So in that particular case, the 5-day moving average is not supported on this time frame. So if you look over here at the chart that I mentioned earlier, you'll see that there's no reference to a 60-minute. The closest is 65, and in that case, you're going to be looking at a 30-period moving average. If you're using the LevelUp Alpha indicator, if you choose a chart time frame that's not valid, you'll notice over here in the table that there are no values that are shown. I'd like to do a quick shout out to Brian Shannon of Alpha Trends for sharing all the information on how to calculate the 5-day moving average. And I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate your support of my work, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.